What is your full name?
Lee Hiltonen,
Where are you from?
Berkeley, Michigan.
How old were you during 2009?
I was, born in 1972, so I was in my mid to late 30s.
Okay. Before the event, what do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession, or before 2007?
Well, the economy was pretty stable, and I know that working through the same job for the last, 15 years, that we were financially stable with our incomes.
What was it like finding or keeping a job?
I said my job was pretty stable, even though I was in the automotive industry. That the company I worked for had plenty of work to keep me busy.
Did you notice anything in yours and society's spending habits?
Before, people were spending money that they didn't have. During the recession, I know that our family personally cut back a lot of our spending and tried to save up as much as we could. So we had money in case I did lose my job.
Okay. Were you overly worried about the health of the economy? Why or why not?
I was, because we have a lot of money invested in retirement funds, and just because of having 3 children of young ages, to know that I'd be able to support.
Had you experienced economic hardship prior to 2007?
No, I was always employed all the way from the time I was 15 up through the Great Recession.
Okay. During the Great Recession, how did you discover our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
Being in the automotive industry, I had a lot of friends that were being laid off and out of work and having to change to different careers to try and find work, doing a lot of side jobs or even getting into construction jobs to try and keep their families fed.
What financial hardships did you experience during the economic situation?
During the economic situation, I was employed all but 1 month, and that month was at the end of the recession in January of 2010. So for us, there was not a whole lot of effect, but on others there was some great effects where people were without work for at least 2 years.
Was there any loss of other assets?
Not in our family.
And was there any loss of savings, retirement or otherwise?
The hours I worked weren't as great, but we were able to actually increase our savings by cutting back a lot of our spending that wasn't necessary.
And was there ever a reduction of income or hours at work?
Yes, as I stated, there was a loss of hours, and being an hourly employee, that did lose some of my income from 2002 up through 2009. I am going to say I probably took roughly a 20% decrease in pay.
What happened to your extended family, friends, and neighbors during the Great Recession? How did it impact you?
My brother, being in construction, he was off and on for his work, being laid off for a month or two. Again, I had many friends that were laid off from their automotive jobs for at least 2 years.
Our government reacts. How did you feel about financial blowout given to the automotive industry? Why?
Well, from the automotive industry, being from the Detroit area, I felt it was necessary for them to give them some type of a bailout to help boost the economy in the area, which it had a substantial impact on that. I know going from one company and going into the GM Tech Center, the only reason that was a viable option for me was because of the financial bailout to the automotive industry.
In present day, what do you believe our nation's greatest economic concerns are and why?
I think that looking back at what caused the Great Recession, I fear that we're moving towards that same path again because people are spending more money than they actually have, and banks are willing to loan out more money than people can afford to spend. You see it in the automotive leasing, where they're giving a lot of low dollar leases to customers, and at the end of that lease there's going to be a huge surplus of used cars with a high residual that the automotive makers are going to lose out on.
What do you believe should be done to protect people from economic problems?
I think the biggest thing is educate people on their personal finances. I don't believe that the government should get involved with it, but I think that there should be limits on what people can borrow versus their income.
And years after Great Recession, how has the Great Recession changed you?
Again, we started saving up more money through the Great Recession just to protect ourselves, and we have been able to sustain that savings even though we are able to go on more vacations and stuff like that with a little more stability in the economy.
How has the Great Recession changed our nation or the world?
I don't exactly know how to answer that one.
And what lessons should be learned from the Great Recession?
Don't spend more than you make.
Okay, thank you.